permanent supportive housing, I think one of the bigger issues, or an additional issue, is because we've got the point in time count coming up, but the problem is that that doesn't include the people staying in hotels. And so the CAB just did a study, and they found out they've got, I don't know the number, 1,300 or however many people staying in homeless or unsheltered people staying in these weekly hotels. And so I'm also requesting $250,000 so that we can do a similar head count of homeless and unsheltered people here in Fulton County. And so that will give us a better idea of actually how many homeless people we have, because the current point in time count doesn't include those people. And so I'm hopeful that we can include that $250,000 as well. And it looked like, maybe we can go back one slide. Was it maybe one or two slides? Looked like it doesn't really affect the millage rate much, from 9.26 to 9.27 and 9.28. Yeah, 9.27. I think with the additional 250 for the head count of the hotel, homeless people staying in weekly hotels, I think Madam CFO said that it would be 9.28, although I guess it's showing 9.27, but that 250 is not on there. So colleagues, I would ask for your support for the Summer Youth Jobs Program at $500,000 as we fund it for numerous years, as well as an additional $250,000 to make sure that we can properly account for all of the homeless people, particularly in North Fulton and South Fulton, that are not being included or not counted as part of the point in time count. Thank you.
I know there was what was it, about $200-something thousand request, and I just wanted to sort of bring that over to you, County Management Team, Dr. Rochelle, perhaps to just talk a little bit about, because I do acknowledge that there is a real problem with people who are sort of one step away from unhoused, living in these extended stay properties that are often very bad conditions, and then because I think of their status, they are not eligible for some of the programs that unhoused people are eligible for. So my question, I think, to you is, what are we already doing in terms of, and to be clear, the program Commissioner Arrington is talking about, we all got a lot of emails about, is really about just step one, which is doing the count. But so I guess my question is, what have we done in the past? What are we doing currently? What can we do? And I know this is like kind of, with one day's notice, because we talked about this briefly yesterday. But if you could just shed some light sort of on where we are on that subject matter right now.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Barrett. So Commissioner Arrington is absolutely right. We are conducting our point in time count over the next couple of days, a specific count in the north and the south. The budget that we have for the point in time count is not including any coverage for the individuals that live in hotels. HUD several years ago made a decision that if a constituent is living in an extended stay, that we were to no longer include them as a part of our unhoused community. So we do not have a mechanism to count those individuals. Some of the things that the commissioners may want to consider if they move forward with funding the first step, which is the assessment, would be the associated expenses for a new program. Specifically, a new program of this nature is anywhere from $2,000 to $9,000 per family. The estimate is that we may have 1,500 to 6,000 families. The costs associated with that are for things like deposits, things like trying to remove some of the barriers associated with why individuals have had to rely on the extended stay community. Things like criminal records, prior evictions, unstable employment are very difficult to correct in a short period of time. And so the associated cost and what would be required is very intensive. Not that it isn't a good thing to do, but it is a very intensive program. And we currently do not have any funding in our homeless support services, which are primarily dedicated to our coordinated entry program, which is $3 million. That is for individuals who are considered by HUD criteria as homeless. So with a new program of this nature, it would take a significant investment to provide perhaps a pilot program or something of that nature so that we could then stand up the infrastructure, which we do not currently have for a program of this nature.
Yeah, I think when we talked about it yesterday, I was in agreement. You know, we're not really prepared to. First of all, we don't know how big the problem is in Fulton County, which is obviously what the count is all about. But we also, you know, right now, certainly in this moment, are within, you know, with a few days' notice, are not really in a position to look at what all the steps should be to start to address the problem. But I do think, and I would ask that county management certainly look at this issue, not so much in terms of what program we can stand up as a county, but how can perhaps we can partner with other counties. Perhaps there's something that could be done statewide to sort of quantify the problem. Perhaps there's things we can do to lobby at the federal level to have some changes made. Maybe there's some things we can do to lobby at the state level. So I don't really know what the solution is, having not had a significant amount of time to study it, but I do think it is a real issue. We saw that in the situation in the hotel in North Fulton, where people were, you know, being evicted from there, and you know, these people sort of fall in this gap between unhoused and living in an apartment and having the services that when something goes wrong in an apartment that you can use, and so they're sort of in this gray area, and I do think it's worth us elevating the issue and trying to see who we can partner with and how we can not only count, but begin to come up with some sort of a strategy, again, perhaps with partners, whether there's private, private-public partnerships or whatever it might be. But I think we're just at the beginning of the conversation, and I would love to see us take it further.
And thank you, Commissioner Barrett. We certainly will also look at the criteria for the $50 million that Governor Kemp has just announced to see if that is an option or an avenue to explore this.
Yeah, if there's room in that language, maybe there's a way to start helping sooner than later.
So we have the money all over. Where is it? Let's overhaul the budget and find it, not just when there's a press conference in the freezing cold and people are pressured to find money for homeless people. Then we found it. Not when all the judges have to come here and say, you asked us to get 2 judges. We put on our legislative agenda. We needed 2 state court judges. We got them. Now we're not funding them. They have to come on down here and beg us all. And then we found the money. We can find the money for a hotel count. We can. We should. And then there are going to be associated costs with it later. We can find it. We need to put looking into our budget and making it transparent as a priority, a huge priority. The commercial assessments, if we could ever figure that out, that might just be more money. More money. But the underruns of $70 million, the other category of $80 million, plus if we could fix the commercial assessment issue, we would be able to fund everything we need to fund. We could even stick with the agreements that we already signed going forward. Imagine being able to say to the city of Atlanta, we're going to actually fund permanent supportive housing according to the agreement we signed with you for all of the years that we said we would. Not just
to your discussion that you had, Commissioner Barrett, about the hotel count and time, and Commissioner Arrington, you had wanted to fund that. Over the holiday weekend, I had several meetings to discuss this with stakeholders in my community. Those included Spark, who did the actual count. Spark is in Gwinnett County. DeKalb did not ask them to count. They just did the count on their accord. I spoke with Drake House. They're a huge nonprofit in my area that deals in this space. I spoke with St. Vincent de Paul. They do a lot of case management with people who are living in hotels and trying to get them up on their feet. I spoke with the North Fulton Improvement Network about the issue. I spoke with Family Promise, a board member from Family Promise as well. And I got the opportunity to meet Commissioner Barrett's newest appointee on the COC, Kelvin Thompson, and just had some brief discussions there, but I will be doing the point in time with him count on Friday night. So for me, the $200,000, I understand the hotel, people living in hotels. A year ago, I was helping a young woman, her name was Leah, who was living in a hotel. I met her at the Amazon returns one day. She looked like she's having a bad day, so I just built a relationship with her and started trying to help her out. And she was living in a hotel probably 2 miles from my house on Mansell Road. At the same time, Brian Goldstone came out with his book, No Place for Us, which really went through the plight of 5 families in Atlanta and just living paycheck to paycheck, living on grandma's couch, fold-out couch, having to fold it up, get the kids to school every day, living in their cars. There's so many people that aren't what they call street-level homeless. With all that being said, I was given his book because he's a friend of my family's, and I was given the book before the book was even published and made available in March of last year. So all of that come to say, the $200,000 funding, I'm just hesitant to give it now because DeKalb County, when I spoke with them, they don't know what they're going to do now that they have the information. It remains to be unseen. Can the count be done more effectively? Can it bring in more partners? St. Vincent de Paul, who does interview people who are staying in hotels, says they make sure that everybody in that hotel has a connection to the community. They aren't just traveling through, that they have a job there, a recent eviction, they have children in the school is a criteria before they help them. They felt the survey might need to be a little bit tailored, more specific. I would love to incorporate these members if we actually do a count, as well as our cities. This does not cover Atlanta. It only covers North Fulton and South Fulton, and I don't know who those members are in South Fulton, but hopefully I can get educated more on that. So I think in talking with Chairman Pitts, it is a very small amount of money, but I think we can get buy-ins from our cities to help us out. In the event we do, I think it's a wait and see, that we need to wait and see what DeKalb can do and bring all these partners together that are in our community. I did hear the governor say he's going to give $50 million for homeless, but he used the word street-level homeless. So for me, that was mainly cleaning the streets, not addressing these people who are living paycheck to paycheck, who one sickness, one illness, a broken down car puts them in a horrible situation where they're not able to keep a roof over their heads. So definitely, I think that is something that we can continue to explore, but that we don't need to fund right now, and we need to just research it more. Other things,